Great. I'm back here for the third week of CGO Gets to Know. Innovation is at the heart of what Dufrain does, whether that's building our own data products for our clients or whether that's helping our clients build their data products. So innovation is really important to us. I'm here with Fraser Black to tell me a little bit more about what he does and the role he plays for our clients and our own organization. Fraser, great to meet you and good to spend some time with you today. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how you help our clients.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Looking forward to it. So yeah, my name is Fraser Black. I'm the head of innovation at Dufrain, and my sort of remit in the company is sort of working with data products, working with data with internal Dufrain, working with our clients, solving problems to really try and find the most innovative and sort of best ways that we can work with our clients. So I've been in the company about 5.5 years now. And I've got a background in data science, data engineering, and software development. So that's kind of where I bring everything together.
Perfect combination.
Yeah. And then since I've been in the company, my sort of data knowledge has kind of grown to really sort of incorporate data management, data governance, compliance, cloud architecture, and so on. So that kind of diverse sort of knowledge and bit of skill set that I've built up allows me to sort of have really sort of in-depth conversations with clients, understanding their problems, and then how we as a company can then leverage technology to answer some of those problems for our clients as well. So it's some of the work that we try and some of the data domains that we try and really instill into what we do as a consultancy, but baking that into sort of innovation and technology products really sort of takes our offering to the next level.
That's brilliant and highly in demand within our organization. So it's taken me a while to get some time with you. Just tell me and our listeners a little bit about some of the products that we've built.
Yeah, of course. So we've got a variety of data products across the business, and they sort of range from some of the core architecture things that we do, some of the engineering things, right to the reporting and analytical parts of it as well. And for those sort of listening and don't know what a data product is, a data product is essentially a tool, application, a process that processes data to get some kind of insight from it. It can be a bit of software, it can be a pipeline, it can be a framework, it can really be anything like that. It's a sort of an all-encompassing term. We've got sort of, I would say, 3 core offerings at the minute that we talk about. So we've got a sort of data audit and discovery offering. We've got our one called Catapult, which helps us deploy Azure cloud platforms and other vendors as well. And then we've also got our data quality engine, which helps us assess data quality. Our data audit and discovery one is quite an interesting one. As compliance has came to the fore in a lot of organizations, as people have grown, as things like GDPR and other regulations came into play, as companies have grown and a lot more data has been amassed, it's been harder for companies to comply with these regulations. It means that people have to understand a lot more about the data that they've got. They need to know the privacy concerns around it. They need to know where that data is being processed, how much being processed. They might have really high storage costs as well. And it becomes quite an unmanageable estate for many to manage. And that's a problem that's across every industry, every sector, whether it's a bank or whether it's a manufacturing organization. And our audit and discovery platform allows us to really traverse through that data estate, whether it's structured or unstructured information, looking for all these key risk areas that might cause some sort of regulatory problem, allow us to then report on it. So we're talking about things like national insurance numbers and these kind of things that we don't want lying about, or if they are lying about, we want to make sure they're in a controlled fashion. And it also looks at things like retention policies, so make sure we're holding on to that information for the right length of time. So our platform can process sort of vast amounts of information and allow us to digest all of that and then present it back to the business in a way that they can understand it and create a sort of actionable remediation plan for it. The next one's called Catapult, and it's our data platform in a box, which might seem like a strange term, but essentially getting data into the cloud is one thing, but actually building that cloud architecture can take a long time. And it's inherently a hard thing to do. There's a lot of networking involved. There's a lot of setting up of systems and processes and cloud architecture and services. And what our Catapult platform allows us to do is use infrastructure as code and deploy that really quickly into the cloud. That not only gives the ROI to the client really quickly, but it also gives them a really manageable estate through managing it through the code base. And it's the really sort of next level on how we can manage cloud architecture. And the last one is our data quality engine, kind of similar to the audit aspect, but it goes into a much more granular detail. So data quality costs businesses vast sums of money every year. If you're a bank, anywhere, millions and millions of pounds is lost through poor data quality, and it can be seen all up the data chain, but particularly when you get to the reporting level, where you're reporting, you want to make sure you're reporting on accurate figures. And if you're not quite got the confidence in where that data is coming from, what sources are coming from, whether it's going to be empty values and skew in the data, for example, it's really imperative that we put in the controls in place around those key bits of data. So what our data quality engine allows us to do is sift through that information at a very regular cadence to make sure that the rules that we are defining are being met and they are the appropriate sort of confidence level. And then that feeds right the way up to your board reporting or your product strategies and these kind of things as well. So data quality is a really massive one that we're big advocates of as well. So those are the kind of the three key offerings that we've got at the minute.
And what's clearly resonating from everything that you've said, and it's the theme in all three of the products, it's all about speed, it's all about efficiency. If they weren't using our product, it would take a lot of time, a lot of people time to be able to get this done. Perhaps some risk around accuracy as well. So it's just underpinning, giving clients that confidence, but also speed. It's getting it done quickly. So I often hear them get referred to as accelerators,
Yes.
and I think that's a great term for it, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're accelerating a resolve to the client's problem. Whether that's remediation, whether that's data quality, whatever. It's about making sure that we do it and we do it quickly, and that makes it more cost effective as well. So tell me a little bit about some of the clients that have actually used this in anger. Give us a couple of examples and some of the scenarios they've been using.
Yeah, perfect. So I've got two examples that I can talk through just now, and we're going to data quality. We'll go into one about data quality, and then we'll talk a little bit about Catapult as well, how we deployed a platform. So data quality, we were sort of working really closely with one of the major banks within the UK, and there was data quality problems right across the business in all the different products, offerings, mortgages, credit cards, all these different areas had very similar problems. And what it was meaning was that when the data was coming up to get to the reporting level, there was a lot of transformations, a lot of cleaning on the data, weren't quite confident in some of the numbers which are coming out. So it meant that when they were trying to figure out how is this product comparing against this product, or are we confident that that's the total value that's coming out of this? Even simple things like what are how many, say, mortgages have we sold this year? It's quite it might seem like a simple thing, but when you've got multiple products, multiple offerings coming from multiple different sides of the business, especially through mergers and acquisitions and these kind of things, it makes it quite hard to keep track of all of this stuff. And the bank had actually tried to do data quality multiple times, and they'd gone with some quite sort of industry leading vendors and other areas like that. But what it turned out is that actually the requirement was actually to bring it in-house. And the reason why it had to come in-house was just due to the complexity of the organization. As businesses grow, as I said in the previous bit around infrastructure getting outdated, you've got legacy, you've got new, you've got old, you've got a lot of a mishmash of everything. And they needed something which they could control. They needed something which they could interject at certain parts of the data process, depending on what that data was doing. And really the next sort of the obvious answer for that was, what can we build and develop that sits within that infrastructure that also gives them the same power and performance, if not more, than they would get with an off-the-shelf platform? So that's where we got involved in a sort of collaborative and development environment. And now what we've got is a platform that sits inside this major bank, connected to all of the key data sources across the business, so where all these products are feeding data in, on a highly scalable platform. And when we talk about how scalable, we're talking about billions of records in sub 10 minutes. So the amount of data going through it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is massive. And it really shows you how things like data quality and stuff have came on and how the importance of it. Now there's a full function supporting this platform in the major bank. And it gives them the ability to manage, maintain, develop rules, other things like that, and really get it customized. And that's actually a trend that we're seeing in the industry at the minute, where data quality is inherently unique to every business and everyone's architecture is different. And having that control and having the ability to really tailor what you're doing with it and get the value you want out of it is something that we're getting asked about a lot. And it's something that we're really hoping to explore it going further. And then the next one I was going to talk about is Catapult. And it's quite a simple use case, actually. We work really closely with one of our alliances called Softcat, and we've got a really great relationship with them. And a leading games developer came to Softcat saying that they wanted to work on some reporting, BI and analytics, and they wanted to improve what they do with data in the business. Now, when we got engaged with them, we started obviously looking at the use case, reporting and stuff. And actually what it became apparent was it wasn't really the reporting layer that was the problem. It was where the data was and how they're using data. It was sort of a step before. And so the conversation then went to, well, we need to improve the way data is operating within the business. We need to improve how it's flowing through the business, and then that will inherently improve what our reports are going to be able to display to us, because the data is going to be coming from a much more manageable environment. So to get the most ROI for the organization, we used our Catapult Accelerator, which allowed us to sort of sit with the business, get their key requirements, what sort of services are best suited to them, what sort of pipelines do they need, other things like that. And then we could rapidly build that platform using some simple scripting that we already had made, and it got us into the cloud really quickly and allowed us to start generating data all the way through the services to that reporting layer. And it was a really good example actually of an initial requirement sort of coming to us and then actually being able to delve into that and actually going, well, if we fundamentally improve the way data is stored within that organization, we can vastly improve the way the reporting is. And when we talk about sort of how much ROI and how much speed this would have sort of gained us in the project, typical platform build, you're going to be going from 3 to 6 months. And that's how long it would take for us to set up all the networking, all these kind of things, do all the architecture. But internally at Dufrain, we've done all the heavy lifting. We've designed all the patterns, we designed everything. So we can really get that platform up and running and operational in less than a week. And then after that, it allows us to start connecting the data, ingesting the data, putting things through the data and into the platform. And it means we get to that sort of reporting layer much faster in that new environment using that framework. So really good example of how we can leverage technology in sort of both of those cases to help out.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think what's really interesting is you're talking about a major bank and then a games developer. You couldn't think about two more polar opposite business use cases. But it's great. It really shows that, you know, data challenges are data challenges. Doesn't matter what industry that it's sitting within. So I think that's a real common theme. You know, it really doesn't matter. I think the other thing that came out in that conversation is you know, some of the data that you're having to deal with is because of acquisition. It's because you know, businesses don't have the luxury of a digital native where everything's ready to go and you can build the perfect environment right from the get-go. You're actually accumulating common, you know, legacy architectures, legacy systems that all have data challenges, and then trying to get the value out of bringing those together, it's really difficult. So really interesting to hear that story. Just thinking about what's coming up next, tell us a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about that. I'd really like to understand what's in your head in terms of roadmap, given your innovation mindset.
Well, I think it's actually a really exciting time for the organization. I think we've got great expertise, we've got great practices in the organization. It's now getting put in place, from foundations to data services to products, and it really sort of sets us up for growth going forward. And sort of further to that, the alignments to Microsoft, Databricks, Softcat, so our partners and alliances, really gives us a strong foundation to build on, not only services that they've got, but also how can our IP and how can our sort of services fit into each of those different architectures and all those services. Yeah. So the really exciting elements for me are, how do we start to look at integrating with the Azure Marketplace? So how do we start looking at the Databricks partner solutions and accelerators programs? And how do we start feeding solutions into these areas where we can provide like deep value use cases or things like software as a services, accelerators, really try and diversify our portfolio and get the name out there, because we do a lot of fantastic stuff in the business. And it's about getting that in front of our clients, and we can see the value to the wider industry, and working with these partners will really help us do that. Obviously, we know what sort of technology sits inside Databricks and Azure and other things like that. And so that's a really exciting thing for me. And so a focus for me is making sure that what we're building is aligning to what our partners need and what our clients are looking for, where the use cases where there's inherent value that we need to get, and what can we do with it. The other obviously majorly exciting part of everything that we do is how can we supercharge some of what we're doing. And a lot of what we do is fantastic. And what we want to now do is use things like artificial intelligence and thread that through some of the processes to really supercharge some of the work that we do. Things like generative AI, I'm going to use it in the example of data quality just to give a bit of context to it. Data quality can be a little bit of a, I'm not going to say a boring topic, but inherently it's maybe difficult to understand and deal with. People don't want to do it. But if you think about the really interesting way that natural languages sort of come into the fore recently, and the ability to interact with tools and services using human language. So a really cool thing that we could do quite simply is say we've got a data quality process running across the organization, and you just want to get a really quick understanding of what's happened this week or how are my rules performing, these kind of things. Putting really simple processes of generative AI into these maybe you can ask the question of the tool, ask how it's doing, how is it performing, tell it if do they think any risks are being identified, are there any trends that are coming out of the information. And I think it's a really powerful thing, even to the point of being able to generate some rules. Can you give me a suggestion of what I should be looking at? Is there anything here that I may be missing? All these kind of different things that would inherently a human would need to do, but we can actually start to use the technology that we've already got and start layering on top some of these really cool, innovative sort of solutions to really pull out the value. And then the other really cool thing is just how we actually use that information. So we've got really cool trends coming up in the industry around RAG-based platforms, retrieval augmented generation, and things like vector databases, and all these really cool things that are coming out. And it's how do we really take our offering to the next level, use this industry standard technology that underpins things like OpenAI, ChatGPT, all of this stuff that us as a data company really want to harness. And so for me, those are the kind of the key areas that whenever we take these offerings and what we do across 2025, it's about how do we use this stuff in the right way, and how do we make sure that whatever we do, our clients get the absolute most maximum value out the end of it. And it's always got the so what, like what do we do with it? It's answering that kind of question. So it's a really exciting time. And just really looking forward to sort of getting stuck into it with the rest of the team in the Dufrain and seeing where we can take it.
Fraser, absolutely fantastic. Really good to spend some time hearing about what you're working on, what you've been working on, what your thoughts are for the future. Look forward to coming on that journey with you, and look forward to spending more time together.
No, thanks very
Thanks
much.
very
Dan.
much. Thanks for joining the episode. Take care. Bye.
Bye.